There are moments in life that happen in the silence of the night, when no one else is watching, when the world around you has gone completely still, and you find yourself alone with your own heart. Moments when the weight of everything you've been carrying becomes so heavy that you don't even know how to speak it out loud anymore. So instead, you whisper. Maybe you weren't even sure anyone was listening. Maybe a part of you had started to wonder if your prayers were simply rising into empty air, dissolving into the darkness without ever reaching anything or anyone. Maybe you cried last night. Maybe the tears came so quietly that you barely even noticed them yourself. Just a slow, steady release of all the things you've been holding on to for so long. And in that moment, somewhere between exhaustion and surrender, you let something go. You whispered something. Something real. Something raw. Something you hadn't been able to say in a long, long time. This message is for you, not for someone else who might be watching. Not for a general audience. For you. Because what you whispered last night, whether it was a prayer, a question, a cry for help, a desperate plea for a sign, it was heard. Every single word of it, every single tear that fell with it was seen. And this, right now, this moment where somehow you ended up here, watching this, feeling something stir inside your chest. This is not a coincidence. This is the answer. God heard you. The angels gathered close when you spoke. And they want you to know, more than anything they want you to know, that you have not been forgotten. You have not been abandoned. And the silence you've been experiencing has never been emptiness. It has been preparation. Take a breath right now. A slow, deep breath. Because what's about to be spoken over you in the next few minutes has been waiting for this exact moment to reach you. And I need you to receive it with an open heart, because it was written with you in mind. Let's start at the very beginning, not the beginning of your story, but the beginning of what brought you to last night, because last night didn't come from nowhere. Last night was the accumulation of days, weeks, maybe even years, of carrying something that was never meant to be carried alone. There was a version of you, not so long ago, who believed things would look different by now, who had hopes and dreams and a quiet, beautiful faith that everything was going to work out. And somewhere along the way, life happened. Things shifted. People left, or situations changed, or the path you thought you were on suddenly disappeared from beneath your feet, and you were left standing in the middle of something you didn't choose and didn't know how to navigate, and you kept going. That's the thing about you that the angels want to acknowledge first. Before anything else, you kept going. Even when it hurt. Even when you didn't know why. Even when the faith felt thin and fragile as a single thread, you held on to it. You didn't give up completely, even when part of you wanted to. And that matters more than you know. That thread, that barely there, whisper-thin piece of faith you've been clinging to, that thread is connected to something so much larger than you can currently see. It's connected to a plan, a real, living, breathing plan that is still unfolding for your life. But last night, something cracked open in you, didn't it? Something that had been building for a long time finally found a release. Maybe it was a specific moment, something someone said, or something you saw, or just the quiet accumulation of one more hard day, and suddenly you couldn't hold it together anymore. And so you went to the only place that felt safe. You went inward, you went to prayer. You went to that place inside yourself where God lives, where the sacred and the human meet, and you laid it all down. Every fear, every question, every piece of grief you've been pretending wasn't there. And you asked. You asked for something so deeply, so honestly, that it surprised even you. Maybe you asked for a sign. Maybe you asked for strength because you genuinely didn't know how you were going to keep going. Maybe you asked, why this, why now, why you? Maybe you asked for someone to just tell you that it was going to be okay because you needed to hear it from something bigger than yourself. Those words didn't float away into the dark. They landed somewhere holy. They were received. The angels have a message for you today, and I want to deliver it as carefully and as fully as I possibly can, because you deserve to receive every part of it. The first thing they want you to know is this. The season you are in right now is not a punishment. I know it may have felt that way. I know that when things get hard enough for long enough, the human heart starts to search for reasons, and sometimes the cruelest reason we land on is that somehow we deserve what we're going through, that we did something wrong, or that we're not worthy of the life we were hoping for, or that God has turned his face away from us. And I need to say this as clearly and as gently as I can. That is not true. That has never been true. Not for a single moment. What you are in right now is a passage. A sacred, difficult, necessary passage. And the reason it's so uncomfortable, the reason it has pushed you to your knees and brought tears to your eyes in the middle of the night, is not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is growing in you. Something significant, something that could not have been built in comfort. Something that required exactly this: the pressing, the refining, the stretching beyond what you thought you could endure. Think about gold for a moment. Raw gold, pulled from the earth, is beautiful in its own way, but it is full of impurities. It cannot reach its full brilliance, its full value, its full glory, until it has been put through fire. The fire doesn't destroy the gold. The fire reveals it. It burns away everything that was never truly part of it in the first place, and what remains is something purer, more beautiful, more precious than what went in. You are in the fire right now. And yes, it is hot. Yes, it is hard. Yes, it has brought you to places of vulnerability and rawness that you didn't expect to visit. But you are not being destroyed. You are being revealed. The truest, most luminous version of you is being uncovered in this season, and the angels are watching it happen with something that can only be described as awe. I want to talk about the whisper specifically because there is something profoundly sacred about what happens when a human being finally stops performing for the world and speaks the unguarded truth of their heart. So much of our lives are spent in a kind of careful presentation. We manage how we appear to others. We curate what we say. We smile when we're tired. We say, "I'm fine," when we're not. We keep our struggles tucked behind a polished surface because we're afraid of being too much, or being misunderstood, or being vulnerable in a world that doesn't always handle vulnerability gently. But last night, something in you let go of all of that. And what came out? That raw, unfiltered, uncurated whisper, that was the most honest prayer you've prayed in a long time. And God receives honesty. God doesn't need you to be poised or composed or spiritually put together when you come to Him. He doesn't need perfect words or perfectly structured petitions. What He wants is you, the real you, the messy and tired and hopeful and scared and beautiful you. And last night, you gave Him exactly that. The angels were present in that moment. They drew close when they heard your voice break, when they felt the emotion rising in you like a tide you couldn't hold back. And there is a tenderness in the spiritual realm toward human tears that is difficult to fully put into words. Every tear you shed in prayer is known. Every sob that shakes your body when you finally let yourself feel everything you've been pushing down. It is seen, it is held, it is honored. The Bible itself says that God collects our tears, that they are not wasted, that they are precious. And I want you to really let that land in your heart right now. Your tears are precious to God. Not an inconvenience, not a sign of weakness. Precious. Now, there's something else the angels want to address, and it's something that is very specific to you, to the place you've been in emotionally and spiritually. There is a lie that has been whispering to you, not from a holy place, but from the shadows. And that lie sounds something like this. Maybe it's too late. Maybe this is just how things are going to be. Maybe the good things are for other people, not for me. Have you heard that voice? Maybe not in those exact words, but in some form, some quiet, creeping despair that settles over you in the hard moments and tries to convince you that hope is naive, that the dreams you still carry in your heart are foolish to hold on to, that the life you sense you were meant for is somehow out of reach for you specifically. I need you to hear this clearly and with every ounce of conviction I can bring to this moment. That voice is a liar, and it knows it is a liar, which is why it works in the quiet, in the vulnerable, exhausted moments, because that's when our defenses are down and the lies can slip in most easily. The truth, the actual, spiritual, unchanging truth, is that it is not too late for you, not for your healing, not for your joy, not for the relationships you've been longing for, not for the purpose you've been quietly sensing inside you for years, not for the breakthrough you've been praying for. God does not operate on human timelines, and He has never once looked at your situation and thought, "Oh, it's too late for her." There is no such thing as too late in the economy of heaven. There are delays, yes. There are seasons that feel longer than we think we can bear, absolutely. But there is no too late, and the fact that you are still here, still watching, still listening, still somewhere in the depths of you, believing enough to reach out and whisper in the dark, That is proof. Proof that it is not over. Proof that something in you still knows there is more. Proof that the hope, however small, however bruised, is still alive in you. And where there is still hope, there is still a path forward. Let me tell you something about the way divine timing works, because I think it might give you a different perspective on the waiting you've been doing. There is a story, and I think you'll recognize it in your own life, about a woman who had been waiting for something for a very long time, years. And during those years, she had done everything right. She had prayed, she had trusted, she had kept her faith even when the evidence around her suggested she might be foolish to do so. She had cried many nights alone, wondering when, wondering why, wondering if she had somehow gotten it wrong. And then, not when she expected it, not in the form she had imagined it, everything changed. Not slowly, almost all at once. The thing she had been waiting for arrived, and it arrived with such fullness, such completeness, that it became immediately clear why it had taken so long. Because everything that had happened during the waiting, every lesson learned, every layer of character built, every moment of growth she had undergone, had been preparing her to actually receive and hold what was coming. If it had come earlier, she would not have been ready. The timing was not cruelty. The timing was craftsmanship. Your waiting has been craftsmanship. The delays have been preparation. The silence has not been absence. It has been God working in the unseen places, setting things in order, moving pieces you cannot see, aligning circumstances you are not yet aware of. And when it comes, and it will come, you will look back at this very moment, at this very night of tears and whispers, and you will understand why it was necessary. You will see the wisdom in it, even though right now it only feels like pain. The angels also want to speak to the loneliness, because that is something you've been carrying too, isn't it? Not necessarily the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone, though that may be part of it, but a deeper kind. The loneliness of feeling like no one truly understands what you're going through. The loneliness of smiling through things because it's easier than trying to explain the complexity of what's happening inside you. The loneliness of praying and hearing silence and wondering if there is truly anyone on the other side of your prayers. That loneliness is real, and it is painful, and it deserves to be acknowledged before it is addressed. So let me acknowledge it. You have felt alone in this. You have felt unseen and unheard in ways that cut deeply. And that pain is valid. It is not weakness. It is not a lack of faith. It is the honest experience of being human in a season that is difficult, and it deserves compassion, beginning with the compassion you extend to yourself. But here is what the angels need you to know about that loneliness. You have never actually been alone, not for a single moment, not in the hardest night, not in the most silent stretch of waiting, not in the middle of the tear-soaked prayers that felt like they were going nowhere. There has always been a presence with you, surrounding you, aware of every single thing you were experiencing. The feeling of being alone and the reality of being alone are two very different things, and I know that distinction might be difficult to receive when the feeling is so strong, but please, hear it. You have been held this entire time. You have been accompanied. The angels have been with you in the quiet places, in the sleepless nights, in the car when you let yourself cry, because that felt like the only safe place to do it. You were never alone. There is something specific that God wants to say to you right now. Not through eloquent theology, not through complicated spiritual language, but in the simple, direct way that a parent speaks to a child they love without condition. And it is this: I see you. I have always seen you. I know everything you are carrying, everything you are afraid to say out loud, everything you've been hoping for in secret, everything you've been grieving in private. I know the dreams you've tucked away because you weren't sure they were still possible. I know the wounds that haven't fully healed. I know the places where you've been disappointed, by people, by circumstances, and sometimes by what felt like silence from me. And I need you to know that I have not been silent because I wasn't listening. I have been at work. I have been moving. I have been preparing something for you that is beyond what you've been able to see from where you're standing. Trust me, not because trust is easy right now. I know it isn't. But because I am trustworthy, because I have carried you this far, and I will not stop now. You are mine, and I am not finished with your story. Let that settle over you. Let it move through you. Because it is true, and somewhere deep inside you, in the part of you that whispers prayers in the dark and still believes, even when believing is hard, somewhere in there you already know it's true. I want to speak for a moment about signs, because many of you, perhaps you, have been asking for them. Asking God and the angels to show you something. Give you something concrete to hold on to, a clear indication that you're not just imagining all of this, that the spiritual world is real and engaged with your life. And I want to share something that might shift the way you see this. Signs are not rare. They are not saved for special people, or especially spiritual people or people who have it all together. Signs are woven throughout everyday life. Through moments of unexpected peace, through the perfect song that comes on at exactly the right moment, through a verse that seems to leap off the page directly into your specific situation, through a stranger's kindness that feels like it came from somewhere beyond, through a dream that stays with you long after you wake, through the way the light falls sometimes and for just a moment you feel it, that deep, inexplicable sense that you are loved, that you are held, that everything is going to be okay. You have already been receiving signs. You may not have recognized them all, or you may have dismissed them as coincidence, or you may have received them and been comforted by them, but then let the comfort fade when the difficulty returned. But the signs have been there, and this moment right now, this is a sign. The fact that something inside you was drawn to this message, that something made you stop and listen, that something in your spirit recognized before your mind did that this was meant for you, that is a sign. That is God and the angels reaching through the ordinary fabric of your day to say, "We are here, we are real, and we have not forgotten you." Now, I want to speak about something that takes a certain kind of courage to address, and that is the question of what comes next. Because it's one thing to be told that God heard your prayers. It's one thing to receive comfort and reassurance. But there is also a call embedded in this message, a gentle, loving, but very real call. And it is the call to take one more step forward, not 100 steps, not a complete transformation overnight, not a sudden and total overhaul of everything. Just one step, one act of faith, one decision to choose hope over despair in this particular moment, today, even though the circumstances around you haven't changed yet. Because faith is not the feeling that everything is fine. Faith is the choice to move forward even when everything is not fine. Faith is the decision to believe in the unseen reality, even while the seen reality is still hard. And the angels are asking you, with so much love and so much understanding of how tired you are, to make that choice today, not to pretend the pain isn't real, not to perform a positivity you don't feel, but to make a quiet, internal decision in your own heart that you are not giving up, that you are still here, that you are choosing to believe, even now, even like this, that the story is not over and the best of it has not yet been written. That choice, that single, quiet, interior choice moves mountains in the spiritual realm. It sends something out into the universe that says, I am still in this. I still believe. Whatever comes, I am not walking away from what I know is true. And heaven responds to that. The angels respond to that. And the path forward, however slowly, however gently, begins to illuminate just a little more clearly. Before we move into the second part of this message, I want to take a moment to just be with you, to not rush through this, to let there be a little space for you to feel what you're feeling, to let whatever is moving in your heart right now have room to breathe. Because sometimes the most healing thing is not more words, but a moment of being truly, fully present in the truth of what is. You came to this message for a reason. Whether you chose it deliberately or stumbled upon it somehow, whether you've been watching for a while or just started, there is a reason you are here. And the reason is that there is something in this message that your soul needed to hear. Something that cuts through the noise and the busyness and the performance and reaches the place inside you that is most real. You are loved. Not theoretically. Not in a general, distant, impersonal way. You are loved specifically, deliberately, tenderly, and without condition by a God who knows your name and knows your story and has not once looked away from you. You are seen by angels who are present in your life right now, moving in ways you cannot always perceive, advocating for you in realms beyond what your eyes can see. And what you whispered last night mattered. It mattered completely. It was heard the moment it left your lips, and it has already set something in motion. Not maybe, not if you do everything right. Already. It has already been set in motion. There is something that happens after a real prayer, after the kind of prayer you prayed last night, that most people don't talk about enough. It's a quietness, a strange, tender stillness that settles in after the storm of emotion passes. You may have felt it. After the tears, after the words, after the raw and honest outpouring of everything you had been holding, there came a moment where something in you just rested, maybe only for a few seconds. Maybe you barely noticed it before the familiar noise of worry and uncertainty came rushing back in. But it was there. That stillness was there. That stillness was not emptiness. That was the presence of God moving into the space that your honesty created. Because when we finally stop filling every moment with performance and pretense and perfectly arranged thoughts, when we crack open and let what's real come pouring out, we create space. And into that space, that sacred, vulnerable, honest space, something holy enters. It has always been that way. The most profound encounters with the divine throughout all of human history have not happened in the polished and prepared moments. They have happened in the broken ones. In the wilderness, in the garden, in the middle of the night when a person is on their knees with nowhere else to turn. Last night, in your brokenness, you created a space, and something holy entered it. You may not have felt it fully in the moment. Grief has a way of narrowing our perception, but it was there. It is still there now. That presence has not left. It followed you into today, into this moment, and it is sitting with you right now as you receive these words. The angels want to speak now about something that is very close to the heart of what you've been carrying, and that is the weight of unanswered questions. Because some of what you whispered last night wasn't just a plea, it was a question. A real, desperate, searching question. Why did this happen? Why hasn't it changed yet? Why does it feel like everyone else's life is moving forward while mine feels like it's standing still? Why did I lose what I lost? Why did the person I needed choose to leave? Why does trusting feel so difficult when I've been trying so hard to hold on? Those questions are holy. I want you to hear that clearly. Your questions are not a sign of weak faith. They are not an offense to God. They are not something to be ashamed of or quickly covered over with platitudes. Throughout the entire history of sacred text and spiritual tradition, the people closest to God were often the ones who questioned most honestly. The Psalms are full of questions that sound almost like arguments. The prophets wrestled with God. The greatest spiritual figures in history brought their confusion and their anguish directly to the divine rather than pretending it wasn't there. And they were met, every single time, not with condemnation, but with presence. Your questions are met with presence. Even the ones that don't yet have answers. Even the ones that may not have answers in the way you're expecting them. God does not owe us explanations in the format we demand, but He does promise us presence. He promises to walk with us through the questions, to hold us inside the uncertainty, to be the steady ground beneath our feet even when the path ahead is not yet visible. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, as we continue to walk in that presence, the answers come, not all at once. Not in the form of a thunderclap revelation, but gradually, gently, like light increasing at dawn, things become clearer. The meaning of what we went through begins to emerge. The purpose of the pain begins to reveal itself, and we find ourselves saying, with a depth of understanding we could not have had before, now I see. Now I understand why I needed to go through that. That moment is coming for you, not as a distant, hypothetical promise, as a real, approaching reality. The understanding is on its way. The clarity is on its way. And until it arrives, you are being asked to trust the one who already sees the whole picture while you are still living inside one part of it. I want to talk about healing now, because healing is one of the most urgent things on the heart of the angels for you today. And when I say healing, I don't mean it only in the physical sense. Though if physical healing is what you need, know that it is being prayed over you in this very moment. I mean the deeper kind of healing, the emotional healing, the healing of the places inside you that were wounded by life, by loss, by disappointment, by words that should never have been spoken to you, by things that should never have happened. There are wounds inside you that have been there for a while. Some of them you are aware of. You know exactly where they are, you can trace the scar, you remember the moment that created it. Others are deeper, more hidden. Wounds that have shaped you in ways you haven't fully recognized yet. Wounds that express themselves as patterns, as fears, as the quiet belief that you are somehow less than, somehow not quite enough. And those hidden wounds are often the ones that do the most damage because they operate beneath the surface of our awareness, influencing our choices and our relationships and our sense of self without us fully understanding why. The angels are reaching into those places today, not to reopen them painfully, but to bring light into them, because healing requires light. Healing requires that the hidden things be gently, carefully brought into the open, where the warmth of divine love can reach them. And this is something that does not happen through willpower or self-improvement programs or simply deciding to feel better. This is something that happens in the presence of God, in the tender, unhurried work of the Holy Spirit moving through the most wounded parts of a human heart, restoring what was broken, repairing what was damaged, returning what was lost. You are being healed right now, in ways you may not be able to measure or even perceive in this moment. The work is happening, and it will continue to happen as you continue to make space for it, as you continue to pray, to be honest, to show up in vulnerability before the God who loves you, to receive the love and the light that are being poured into you. Let me speak now about the relationships in your life, because many of you are carrying wounds that came specifically through other people, through betrayal, through abandonment, through love that was offered and then withdrawn, through people who were supposed to stay and chose to leave, or people who stayed but caused harm in the staying, through the devastating experience of giving your heart and having it treated carelessly. If this is part of your story, and for so many of you it is, the angels want to speak directly into it today. First, with compassion. What was done to you, what was taken from you through the carelessness or cruelty or brokenness of another person, that was not okay. It was not something you deserved. It was not a reflection of your worth. And the pain of it is real and legitimate, and does not need to be minimized or dismissed or pushed aside in the name of being spiritual or gracious. But then, alongside that compassion, comes something that may be difficult to receive, and I want to offer it gently, not as a demand, but as an invitation. The angels are speaking the word forgiveness over you today. Not because the people who hurt you deserve it, not because what happened was acceptable, but because forgiveness is the key that unlocks you. Because the people who wronged you are not imprisoned by what they did. You are, as long as you remain bound to the wound, and you were not made to be imprisoned. You were made to walk free. Forgiveness does not mean pretending it didn't happen. It does not mean reconciling with people who are unsafe. It does not mean minimizing the pain or declaring that everything was fine when it wasn't. Forgiveness means making the choice, sometimes repeatedly, sometimes daily, to release the claim that the wound has on your future. To say, what happened to me will not define what comes next for me. To hand the weight of the injustice over to God, who sees all things, and who is the ultimate keeper of justice, and to walk forward unburdened. If you are not there yet, that is okay. Forgiveness is a process, not a single event, and the angels are not asking you to perform something you don't feel. They are asking you to be willing, to be open, to say, even if just in a whisper, I am willing to get there. I want to be free. Help me forgive what I cannot yet forgive on my own. That willingness is enough. God takes that willingness and works with it. He walks you through the process. He does not leave you to manufacture forgiveness out of sheer spiritual effort. He walks you there, step by step, into the freedom that is waiting on the other side. Now I want to speak about purpose, because purpose is something that has been whispering to you for a long time. There is something inside you. You've felt it, even if you've struggled to name it, a sense that your life is meant for something specific, that you are not here by accident, that you carry something, a gift, a calling, a message, a light that the world needs and that only you can offer in the particular way you were designed to offer it. That sense is not ego. It is not wishful thinking. It is the voice of the divine inside you, the imprint of your Creator's intention, reminding you of what you were made for. And the reason it keeps whispering even when life gets hard, even when you feel far from it, even when circumstances have pushed you into places that seem to have nothing to do with the life you were meant to live, is because purpose doesn't die. It is not contingent on circumstances. It is written into the fabric of who you are, and it will continue to call you forward no matter how many detours life takes you on. But here is what the angels want you to understand about purpose in this season specifically. The difficult things you have been through are not obstacles to your purpose. They are part of it. The pain you have experienced, the hard seasons you have survived, the lessons you have learned in the places where life broke you open, all of that is becoming the very thing that will allow you to reach other people in ways that polished, untested, unbroken people simply cannot. Because people are not ultimately moved by perfection. People are moved by authenticity, by the sight of someone who has been through real things and come out the other side, still standing, still believing, still full of light, despite everything that tried to extinguish it. Your story, including the parts that have been hardest, including the chapter you're living right now, is being written with purpose. And one day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will stand somewhere and speak from what you've been through, or live from what you've learned, or love someone through their own darkness with the understanding that only comes from having walked through darkness yourself. And in that moment, it will all make sense. Every tear, every night of whispered prayers, every moment you chose to keep going when giving up would have been so much easier. It will all make sense. The angels are very specific today about something they want to release over your life, and I want to speak it clearly and with full intention. They are releasing over you the spirit of renewed hope, not manufactured optimism, not the forced cheerfulness of someone pretending that hard things aren't hard, but a deep, grounded, unshakable hope that is rooted not in your circumstances, which can change, but in the character of God, which never does. Hope that says, I do not know exactly how this is going to unfold, but I know who holds it, and I trust him. Hope that says, the story isn't over, and the chapters I haven't read yet are the ones I've been waiting for. Hope that says, the dreams I carry are not too big for God, and the obstacles I face are not too big for God, and the healing I need is not too deep for God. Receive that hope right now. Let it settle into the places inside you that have grown weary and dry. Let it be like water on cracked ground, soaking in slowly, bringing something back to life that has been dormant but never truly dead. Because hope, once it is truly received, not just intellectually acknowledged, but actually received into the heart, changes everything. It changes the way you wake up in the morning. It changes the lens through which you interpret what happens to you. It changes what you reach for, what you believe is possible, what you're willing to try again. You are allowed to hope again. You are invited to hope again. And the angels are telling you that hope in this moment is not naive. It is prophetic. It is you aligning yourself with what heaven already knows is coming. I want to take a moment to address something that is very personal. The feeling that your faith has not been strong enough. The guilt or shame that sometimes creeps in around the edges of your spiritual life and whispers that if you had just believed more, prayed more, trusted more, things would be different. That the reason your prayers haven't been answered the way you hoped is somehow a failure on your part, a spiritual inadequacy, a deficit in your faith that has been holding things back. I want to dismantle that lie completely. Faith is not a performance. It is not a quantity that you either have enough of or don't. It is not measured by how often you cry versus how often you feel peaceful, or how many days you feel confident versus how many days you feel afraid. The disciples who walked physically alongside Jesus in the flesh still had moments of fear and doubt. The greatest figures of faith throughout history had moments of complete collapse. And Jesus himself said that faith the size of a mustard seed, one of the smallest seeds that exists, is enough to move mountains. You have faith. The fact that you prayed last night is faith. The fact that you are here right now, listening, receiving, somewhere in you still reaching toward the divine, that is faith. It may not look the way you think faith is supposed to look. It may be worn and tired and mixed with questions and tears. But it is real, and it is enough. And God is not withholding anything from you because of a supposed deficit in your believing. You are not failing spiritually. You are not behind. You are not missing something that everyone else seems to have. You are a deeply loved human being going through a genuinely difficult season. And your Creator looks at you not with disappointment, but with profound tenderness and pride in the ways you have continued to hold on. As this message moves toward its close, I want to speak something prophetic over your life. And I want you to receive it not as a general statement meant for everyone, but as something spoken specifically over you. In this moment, by the voice of the divine that has been speaking through every word of this message, something is shifting for you. Right now, not eventually. Right now, in this season, in the weeks and months ahead. The ground beneath your feet that has felt unstable is being made firm. The direction that has felt unclear is beginning to clarify. The relationships in your life are moving, some deepening into something beautiful and true, others releasing gently so that space can be made for what is actually aligned with who you are and who you are becoming. The dreams that have felt out of reach are drawing closer, not because the path has suddenly become easier, but because you have become someone who is ready to receive and carry what those dreams require. There is a door that is opening for you. You may not be able to see it yet in the natural realm, but in the spiritual realm it is already open, and the angels are standing beside it, holding it wide, and the invitation is, come, come forward. Come into the life that has been prepared for you. Come out of the waiting room and into the room you've been waiting for. Come through the fear and into the fullness. Come through the grief and into the joy. Come through the questions and into the knowing. This is your invitation today. In this moment, I also want to speak to the specific need that brought you here. Because even within a message like this, which is meant for many, there is a word that is meant precisely for you. And the angels are whispering to me that for some of you, what you need most right now is permission. Permission to rest. Permission to stop striving and struggling and holding everything together through sheer force of will. Permission to lay the burden down, not permanently, not in defeat, but in surrender, the beautiful, courageous, holy surrender that says, I cannot carry this alone anymore, and I am choosing to let you carry it with me. For others, what you need is courage, the courage to try again, to reach out, to speak the thing you've been afraid to say, to take the step toward the dream you've been circling around but haven't yet committed to re-enter the relationship or leave the one that's been taking more than it's giving, to say yes to the opportunity that feels too big, to say no to the thing that has been keeping you small. The angels are breathing courage into you right now, a quiet, steady, deep courage that is not the absence of fear, but the presence of something stronger. For others still, what you need is simply to know that you are loved, that beneath every question, every fear, every uncertainty, every hard thing, the foundation is love. Unshakable, unconditional, personal, specific, relentless love. Love that found you in the dark last night when you whispered what you didn't know how to say out loud. Love that is reaching through this message right now to touch the places inside you that have been aching for it. Love that will be there tomorrow and the day after and every day of the journey that still lies ahead of you. You are loved. Say it to yourself right now in whatever part of your heart can receive it. I am loved. The angels have one final thing they want to speak over you before this message closes, and it is the most important thing of all. It is the thing they have been building toward. It is the answer, the real, full, complete answer to what you whispered last night. You asked in some form or another for a sign, for confirmation, for reassurance that you haven't been forgotten, that your prayers are being heard, that the road you're on is leading somewhere beautiful. You asked in your exhaustion and your grief and your desperate, beautiful honesty for God to just let you know that He is there and He is answering. This moment is the answer. This message, the fact that something drew you here, that you stayed, that the words have been landing in the places they were meant to land, that something has been moving in your heart even as you've been listening. This is the answer. This is God speaking. This is the angels reaching through the ordinary fabric of a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever day this finds you, cutting through the noise, finding you in the middle of your real life with its real struggles and its real questions and its real pain and saying, yes, we are here, we heard you, we have always heard you, and we love you more than you have yet allowed yourself to believe. The answer to your prayer is yes, I am with you. The answer is yes, I see what you're carrying. The answer is yes, what you've been hoping for is still possible. The answer is yes, the best chapters of your story are still ahead. The answer is yes, you are enough, you have always been enough, and you will always be enough. The answer is yes, you are loved. So as you move forward from this moment, back into your day, back into the life that is still unfolding around you, back into the circumstances that haven't yet changed, carry this with you, not as a feeling that may fade, not as a temporary emotional high that reality will deflate. Carry it as a knowing, a settled, rooted, anchored, knowing in the deepest place inside you that you are held, that you are seen, that you are guided, that nothing that has happened to you has the final word over your life, that the tears you've shed have not been in vain, that the prayers you've prayed have not evaporated into empty air, that the God who created the stars knows your name and knows your story and is actively, lovingly, purposefully at work in the details of your life right now, even the ones you can't see. Walk forward with your head a little higher. Not because everything is suddenly easy, but because you know you are not alone. Not because all the questions have been answered, but because the one who holds the answers is with you in the asking. Not because the pain is gone, but because the pain has a purpose. And the purpose is beautiful, and you are walking toward it. The night of whispered prayers is giving way to a dawn you haven't seen yet. But it is coming. It is already on its way. And when it arrives, and it will arrive, you will know that even in the darkest hour, even in the moment when the tears fell and the words barely came, you were never, not even for a single heartbeat, alone. The angels walked with you through the night. And they are walking with you still. This is the answer you ask for. And it is filled with more love than words can fully contain. Receive it, hold it, let it change you. Let it remind you of who you are and whose you are, and what is still waiting for you on the other side of this season. You are deeply, completely, eternally loved. And God, the God who fashioned you with intention and breathed life into you with purpose, He heard every word you whispered last night, every single word.